So this tutorial is going to be a slightly different format. What I'm going to show you is how to trigger an event within an animation. So they're called Anim Notify States, and you can actually put them inside of animation. So basically, instead of triggering events through your blueprints, you can just trigger the event when the animation happens. So say, for example, on this guy here, when he does a bat swing, it's triggering the collision. So this notify here is a collision event, and whenever it plays that animation, that collision will trigger. So the reason why this format's slightly different is because this is something I have to do in this game. This is an old game that I made. It's really quite badly coded, so I'm had to go back over it and clean it all up before I actually mix it down into a full game. So I'm just going to go through the process with you basically, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is, in this character, I've created this sphere collision on his right hand, and what I want it to do is I want to trigger that sphere collision to only have collision when he does this slap. So what we need to do is go into wherever your character is. Obviously mine is this character. Go into your blueprint, and you need to make 3 custom events. One is going to be to start the event. Second one is going to be to end the event. And the third one is going to be the actual event. So you do need to remember what you call them. So I'm just going to call this start hit. Call the end one end hit. And then just call this hit. Right, you need to come off here, set timer by event. The event will be this event that we're going to call. Have time on 0.1. I don't want it looping, I just want it to do it once. The important thing here is this set timer by event. Right click on return value, promote to variable. You can rename this variable if you want, but if you know what it is, you can just leave it as whatever it's called there. Then you need to, on the end hit, clear and invalidate timer by handle, and the handle is going to be this variable. So you just drag that in. So this now, essentially, this can be any event you want to run within the animation. So it could just be a play sound, it could be some kind of VFX, but I mean, you can add Niagara into your animations easier than doing it this way anyway. I usually use these notifies for stuff like line traces and collision basically. But yeah, so right, so this is going to be the hit. What I want to do is I want to get this sphere, set it as collision enabled, so I can take off all this code here and I can pretty much drag it. What I want it to do on after the animation is I'm going to run it in the timeline anyway, so I'm going to drag that up there. So what I'm doing as this code here is kind of irrelevant to you, because you're going to make your own code. The things that you will need to do the same is have 3 custom events, set timer via event, set it as a variable, put the variable into clear and validate handle, right? So I'm going to compile and save that. Go back down to your content drawer, right click, and then go to blueprint class, and then in blueprint class type anim notify state there, select, and you can just call this whatever. I'm going to call this boss slap notify. Double click this, and then on functions where it says override, click there, click receive notify begin, on override receive notify end, and now see you've got 2 functions here, receive notify begin and receive notify end. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come out of mesh comp and put get owner, and then from get owner you're going to cast to whatever blueprint your code is in. So on this one it's cast to Kingpin BP, and then because we've cast to this, we can get that custom event that we made, start hit, this one here. Start hit. See, it comes up. Drag that. So see, so the notify is beginning at start hit, which is this event. Right? Let's go back into notify. Unreceived end. Unreceived notify begin. Get owner has to be. You can just grab them to copy, Control C, drag them into here, Control V, from mesh comp to get owner. And then you want this one, end hit. End hit. And then that's done. Compile and save. So you can close that. Now what we want to do is we want to go into the animation that we want to trigger this in. So I want to trigger it in, what was it again? KP slap right. So we're over here. Double click that. So see, I'm on this, right? I've got like a sound effect. You can add all sorts of things in animations. I've got Niagara effects, and they're all attached to like sockets and stuff like that, right? So if you haven't got an extra notify, see it says here notify, click here and add notify track, but I've got an empty one here. So I'm going to drag the I'm going to drag the timeline across. What? I'm going to drag the timeline across and put it to about, I want it to start about here. Right click on notify 4, add notify state. Add notify state. And now see, boss slap notify is the one that I just made, the notify thing. And then see end, and you can just drag it across. So then whenever this animation plays from here all the way across to here, this event will play, start hit, and it will end hit over here. And that's kind of done then. So when my boss comes, he's going to hit him. You have to mess around with the timings and stuff. See, so like, it works. Like you do need to fiddle around with timings and stuff. So like this delay might be a little bit too short, or it might be too long. Obviously that's irrelevant to you, the delay. So what you might need to mess around with is where you start these notifies. So I might want to just drag this up there a bit more. So see where his hand comes, and I only want it to start sort of like here, and then bring it down here. But it's just fiddling around afterwards. See, so another thing that you might need to fiddle with if you add in collisions and line traces is just basically where you've put the thing. So the collision is there. So for example, I might want to make it so it's a bit further away from the hand, or I might want to make the sphere radius of the collision a little bit smaller, or maybe a little bit bigger. You know what? You just need to fiddle around with timings and stuff, but that's up to you to sort. So yeah, that's about it really. If I don't know if I explained that well, but if you follow it through, you should get all the information you need. But yeah, thanks for watching everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.